Early voting is underway in New Jersey ahead of the state's gubernatorial primaries on Tuesday. And all eyes are on the very crowded Democratic field, where we will get the very first hard data of what the Democratic electorate wants after their losses at the federal level last November. Joining me now is one of the Democrats vying to be the next governor of New Jersey, Congressman Josh Gottheimer. Thank you so much, Congressman, for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I don't have to tell you this. This is a crowded field. I had the opportunity to interview Mayor Baraka yesterday, so let me ask you the very same question. What makes you the right person to be the next governor of New Jersey?
Well, first, thanks again for having me. It's been a crazy few days, as you might imagine. Lots of diners, lots of senior centers, seeing a lot of people. My focus has been what it's been since day one of this campaign, about affordability. I'm the only one with a plan to lower taxes and lower costs for families in Jersey. They need it. Families are feeling squeezed, whether you're a senior who's retired or somebody who's just come out of school and looking to stay here. Between our rents and our property taxes and utility bills, people are hurting. As we saw in the last election, that's what really the focus is. And I think as Democrats, what we need to really pay attention to.
Let me ask you, we spent the first part of the show talking about Elon Musk's feud with President Trump and his issues with the president's agenda in Congress. Well, New York Congressman Richie Torres, who is backing your campaign, said of Musk's turn, quote, "I'm a believer in redemption," and he is telling the truth about the legislation. But there are Democrats who see his decimation of the federal workforce and the federal government as an unforgivable sin. Do you agree with Torres about potential redemption for Mr. Musk, or do you see his work in the government as an unforgivable sin, as he says?
Well, listen, I'm glad that Elon Musk is calling out what we all know, that this bill that they passed out of the House, the extremists, does nothing except gut Medicare, Medicaid, hurt Social Security, hurt our families, our kids who are hungry. I mean, it's a disaster of a piece of legislation. And I'm glad that Elon Musk is realizing what all of us know and what the damage that it would do to families here in New Jersey. I mean, what he's done to the government, in terms of whether it's the VA or Social Security, to me is unacceptable and unforgivable. And until they clean that up, which, they're trying to do slowly, I have zero patience for Elon Musk, but really I blame Donald Trump. He's the president. The buck stops with him, and he's made a complete mess in a few months of our economy, of our government. Prices are up. People's retirement savings are down. That's what people are bringing up to me here, right? They're so anxious about their retirements, whether they're going to have enough money because of what he's done. People, small businesses, working class people are trying to figure out how they're going to pay their bills because costs keep going up, and every day there's more chaos.
Well, let me ask you, because Mr. Musk has said anyone who votes in favor of the bill should be fired, not so subtly suggesting he might support Democrats potentially against Republicans who vote for this legislation. Do you think Democrats should accept his money? Would you?
I don't think anybody should rely on anything that Elon Musk says, right? I mean, and that's kind of the point. They're all over the place. I think what we need to do as a party is make sure we remind the country what Democrats are about, right? We're about getting people's backs. We care about veterans. We care about children. We don't cut school breakfast and school lunch from kids. We don't gut Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security. We actually look after people. We make sure that planes can land because the FAA is staffed, right? And to me, that's what Democrats have. And what I'm doing here in New Jersey is reminding people that we're the party that looks out for people, right? And that's why I'm so focused on getting costs down for families, whether it's childcare costs or healthcare costs, of making life more affordable for them. When we play offense and remind people that we're the party that does that, we win.
Well, I want to ask you about the state of the Democratic Party, both nationally and in New Jersey. As you know, President Trump made some real gains in deep blue New Jersey. If you go back to November, Kamala Harris won the state by about 6 points. Compare that to Joe Biden in 2020, who won it by 16 points, Congressman. What happened? Why didn't Democrats turn out in New Jersey for Kamala Harris?
Well, I mean, I think this is kind of the point. We've got to get back to the basics and focus on the things. If families can't afford to feed their kids or put clothes on their back, or they don't feel safe at night, everything else quickly becomes secondary. And I think that's the point, right, Kristen? We have to make sure that we focus on those basic issues. And, you know, I'm the only Democrat in this race that ever beat a sitting Republican. So, you know, and I just won my seat last time in Congress by 12 points, and Harris won my seat by 1 point. November is going to be tough for Democrats. We cannot just think this is going to be a walk in the park, right? So we need somebody who can win. I'm obviously the one who can win in November. And I think the core issue, which I've always focused on since I first ran for Congress, is lower taxes and lower costs and an economic message. Because, you know, again, at the end of the day, when people wake up in the morning, if they can't feed their kids, nothing else really matters.
Well, Congressman, we only have about a minute left, but let me ask you this question. I mean, President Trump still has an approval rating of about 40% in your state. Do you think the next governor should try to reach across the aisle if a Democrat wins and work with President Trump? We've seen that example, for example, with Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan.
Well, you know, I helped start a group called the Problem Solvers Caucus, and I always believe in getting stuff done whenever possible, but only if it's good for Jersey. So, you know, I'll work with anyone if it's good for Jersey. You mess with Jersey, I'm going to fight you. And when Trump messes with our families or our seniors, I'm going to fight him. When he goes after our education in our schools, I'm going to fight him or our seniors, right? And when he messes with Medicare and Medicaid. So I think that's how any governor should look at it. If there's opportunities to work together, that if it's good for the state, great. Yeah. Right. But of course, if you mess with our state, we're coming for you.
All right. Representative Gottheimer, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me.